every swipe, scroll, and notification is part of a global battle for the most valuable resource of the digital age, your attention. This week, we're going to explore how algorithms became the new cultural gatekeepers, why platforms are engineered to become habits, and what happens to society when shared experiences fragment into personalized feeds. And on top of all that, could AI turn the attention economy into something even more powerful? Let's get into it. Welcome to The Rundown. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My late poll is in my frame. There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hi, this is David. Happy to have you here. Welcome to the Rundown. We're a small but mighty panel tonight. Tamara is desperately trying to get in. I've seen her about 4 times, and I just hope everything's okay because she's not able to get in. Maybe her internet is having trouble, but pop in anytime, Tamara, and I'll rejuggle the squares of death on our board there and bring you in. But until we do that, let's say a quick hello to the amazing folks that we have with us, starting with Mr. Tony Mobley. Hello, sir.
Greetings, sir. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I actually had a awful week. I never get sick, but when I do, boy, do I get sick good. And this week, I got it. A Sunday night till yesterday, I could not move. I was in bed, fever, things coming out of orifices they should not come out of. It was really unpleasant. And thank God, I'm not 100%, but I'm feeling so much better and happy to see you.
You look like you're on the mend.
I'm definitely on the mend. But that's what you get for asking, how are you? See, most people don't actually tell you, but you say, hey, how you doing, Dave? Well, I had diarrhea. And I go, okay, sorry. Moving on. TMI. Hi, Dave.
Oh, what a great start, Dave. What a great start. Let's get all of it out there. Yeah, sharing is good.
Sharing is caring.
I looked out the window. It's sunny and blue out there with the most beautiful clouds floating through. So I feel bad for Tony and his weather.
Yeah, Tony, what is going on, by the way?
Yeah.
Tornadoes.
Oh, my gosh.
Throughout the state. And also, the other thing, too, is that we have had rain every day since Sunday. Well, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so not only is there an issue of tornadoes, there's also a flood watch. So we got both of those things going on.
Wow. Yeah. Holy moly. Look at that. All right. Well, stay safe.
That's some storm. Yes.
And are you in Macon?
My in-laws are in Macon.
Your in-laws
and,
are in Macon.
we were in worship service.
Right? Isn't that where the church is?
Yeah. The church is in Macon.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Right. I've driven
So
through
we had to
Macon.
end early because the tornado sirens were going off.
Really? All right.
It was coming through the Zoom.
I've driven through Macon.
It's not funny, but it's just...
No, it's not.
That's so
as long as everyone's
so
safe,
unusual.
that's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And rounding out this happy crew is Mr. Sky Gleason. Hello, sir. With that idyllic background.
I'm sitting in the square of death, you tell me. What a way to start.
But
my goodness. Paskin, square of death?
Fair enough.
You know how to lead with a punch line.
That's
oh my gosh, square of death.
Sorry,
I'll be in a round of death. I'll be around. No, I'm very fortunate. I am not in tornado land, but I grew up there. Kansas was Tornado Alley, coming up through Texas, up through Oklahoma, right up through Wichita there. And many a night we would hear the sirens blare. We would go down to the south. Is it southwest? I used to know. You had to know which corner because as the tornado would hit your house, you wanted to be the closest to it so that the debris would fly behind you.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so you were taught. I was taught as a child, and we would have blankets, and we would have the little AM radio down there, and then we'd watch the not unlike the Wizard of Oz. We would wake up to many a mobile home
Sure.
gone.
We have that
Just
down
gone.
here in Florida also. And just not tornadoes, which are
Yeah.
actual hurricanes. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to catch up with the square of death.
Yeah. Now, Dave, you said, sorry, I know we have actually things to talk about, but Dave, you said that you're going to be here, but you may not be paying attention. Is there something important going on tonight that I'm missing?
No, I was just using the pun.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe there's a football game or a hockey game or something.
Yeah, well, there would have been a hockey final if my team had been in it, but yeah, no, we're all done with hockey now.
All right.
It's finished.
Well, as far as I'm
Hurricanes
concerned,
won the cup actually.
as
just
someone
an
born in New York, all sports are done now that the Knicks have won the title. We don't need
David,
sports
I would like
anymore.
Can you bring all four of us up for a second? I would like
Yeah.
to point out something. I'm trying to catch up with the cool kids. I wore flannel tonight. It's 80 degrees here and I'm sweating like but you guys show up in t-shirts and
Why do you have to wear
Okay.
flannel? I don't get it.
well, last week
and-
everybody was wearing flannel.
Oh, is
And-
that-
and
we,
I-
we were joking about that last week.
And my rotation is, Scott, my rotation is that I'm supposed to have on a plaid shirt tonight. but-
wait, hold on. Your rotation?
My rotation of shirts.
Did you
that I
not get
w-
the memo, Dave? Come on,
You're
we
so
all
fu-
do the
I don't have a rotation. I just made sure that every shirt that I own is black. So it
that's
doesn't really
easy.
matter.
You and Bill Davis.
That's
hardly trying at all. He is.
But I do have on a black T-shirt. So
That's funny.
I can change. I've got black.
You know what I
I
just
want to be
got?
in.
I always wore a black. Why are we talking about this? I always wore a
My
black
fault,
T-shirt.
my fault,
I
my
just
fault.
I just ordered a bunch of those slimming shirts. You know, the really tight things that are
Built
moisture
different.
wicking. Yeah,
Try built different. Those are
yeah.
those are
I'm on a
that's in
special
fact that's what
new
I'm wearing
diet
tonight.
that my AI suggested to me. It's called "Stop Eating, You Fat Bastard." Okay, moving on. Let's get into the news. What do you say? Am I going to get into big trouble because I just said that? I hope not.
Oh, I think
No, you're not.
YouTube's going to shut you down.
I didn't mean to.
We're all friends
Hey,
here. We don't care.
Speaking of YouTube, so the number one story, not the number one story, the first story is that a friend of ours, a friend of the show's, Mr. Beast, hit 500 million subscribers this week on his channel. That's an eighth. No, it's not. That's a 16th of the world's people or something like that. I mean, this is
Yeah, and its subscribers is very important. Like this is not just views. This is people who said, I want to know what he's doing all the time. And they're also following his popularity in itself, that he's the most popular YouTube video maker.
and this also
He's not beating Gaming Style for views because that one's at 5.5 billion. And Baby Shark, I think, is 13 billion.
right. So this
those
is
are just
one
views,
channel, one of his
but
channels.
This
Yeah.
is subscriptions. Yeah.
No, but
That's really
subscriptions to
significant.
only
6
one of his
subscriptions
channels is
is-
my point.
Is it? What?
Oh yeah, this is
Well,
just
which
the
one
Mr.
is it?
Beast channel. This isn't his gaming channel. It's not any of his other channels.
No, they're probably not as high. Yeah.
Oh no, definitely, definitely this is the highest one. I mean, look, we're certainly going to talk about this tonight when we talk about, what gets our eyes and our ears. But I haven't been able to figure out what to make, to be honest with you, of Mr. Beast. I very rarely enjoy his content. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not my style. I love his philanthropic content. I watch that all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, what do you make of
Well,
half a?
it's the
billion-
lottery mentality because he pays people to be, to possibly win the money that somebody else has, funded him.
Yeah, here's
So
here's
it's-
the moment. He's about to cross.
That fits. But he at the end of this experience here, he does talk about he's very grateful. He can't
He
believe
does,
he's here.
Absolutely. And
He's
YouTube
very humble.
gave him a custom You know, there's a
Plaque.
play button and all the different play buttons. They made him a custom Mr. Beast
Platinum.
thing,
Is
that
there what's above platinum?
oh no, it's
Unobtainium?
just huge and ridiculous and yeah.
Rather appropriate.
There we go.
Solid
500
gold, yeah.
million subscribers.
Wah, wah.
A few earlier this year, he posted a video that he had recorded, I guess, 15 years ago, and or something like that, and he had recorded it and set it to go live. 10 years or 15 years later, and then it went live, and this was back when he had 10 subscribers, and it was really interesting to see. I mean, does this metric, 500 million subscribers, does it really, other than the fact that he's making bundles of money, does it matter?
I think it does. Yeah. 500 million viewers have never gathered together at all, ever, in a live mass media channel.
Other
These
than
are
landing on the
streaming
moon.
channels.
Landing
The
on the moon.
streaming
with-
channel allows him to multiply it because it's asynchronous. So he can have at any time 10 million or 100 million. And then the rest are all watching it secondary. But over that period of time, you've got subscribers who are clicking the subscribe button. And that
Okay,
means
but my question is, who cares? Like, what does that actually mean?
Oh yeah, no, but it only means that he can attract an audience because he appeals to something which is in the, as we say in German, Zeitgeist. There is a collective understanding of what he's doing, and they enjoy it, and they want to support him by doing it. And there is a network effect, of course, that it's now
Right.
popular, and therefore, if I'm going to be in the know, I've got to be subscribed as well. And that's a secondary effect of all attracted audiences.
Right.
But in the sense that he was first, and he does some outrageous stuff, and he does some, as you say, some philanthropic stuff, and so it comes across as being one of the real guys on the YouTube.
Yeah,
I think it speaks to
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think it speaks to a bigger issue in that's the reason, not so much him, but content creators in general. It's the shift from TV. That's where people are now. They are online, they are consuming content, and that's why you have HBO and Paramount talking about a merger, because it was approved. And they have to do that because we are not watching TV. I can't tell you the last time that I actually watched TV. I don't. I'm on YouTube the majority of the time. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook sometime, not very much, but primarily I'm on YouTube, and I'm consuming all kinds of great information on a variety of different topics. And regular TV is essentially gone. It is gone.
It's dead, yes. That I would agree with that,
Yeah.
because it actually died a slow death when it suddenly started being reality TV, fake reality TV, and everybody knew it. And then it was pushed around because the lowest common denominator was, action detective shows and that sort of stuff. And it became a monolith, and nobody needed any of those channels anymore. Cutting the cord was part of a decision to see if it could be done. And then later it became the thing to do when there was selection, when there was content, when Netflix was a library bigger than anybody had seen, and none of the broadcast channels had that content, so people moved to it. And binging, of course, gave you the chance to really catch up on something or be ahead of the curve by watching it all in one night. And also created the term Netflix cheating, which means you pretend you didn't watch the show before your wife, but you did, and she didn't like it that you saw the show before I did. So I think you're right, that's what's going on as a technological shift and a more culture shift. But why the beast can get 500 million people to click the subscribe button and stay there, and okay, I'll give them a percentage of those are bots, but it's not as significant as the many people who are real that have pushed the button. So I think, he's as important now as, for you guys, Walter Cronkite.
Brody Hefner, who's watching, jumped in and said that he sets an example of positive values with his creative philanthropy. That's one of the things about him, is that he's there's no language, there's no sexuality, at least none that I've ever seen. There's no real violence. It's all gameplay and giving money away to people, and then again, he's able to do some real philanthropic work. I don't, I also think though that when there's a certain point at which, I don't know, I don't think it matters. There's just a certain number of subscribers that you can get, and it just doesn't matter. There's one person who has really only one person who has more subscribers than Mr. Beast, and that of course is Tamara Pika.
No
who
subscribers.
Has just joined us. Hey, Tam, we were so worried about you.
I have been online all day until like
Oh no.
5:30.
Oh no.
So we'll see how this goes. I've got a really bad connection because I'm connecting through my phone after 3 other attempts. I think I'm on my phone. I don't even know.
What was going on with you? That's so wild.
I think the main internet went out, and then I have 2 backup internets, and they were not connecting correctly. Yeah,
Well,
it was crazy. I'd get like so far,
Yeah, I could see you.
and
then,
now it's a little stuttery. So we'll try to fix it.
Well,
but
I'm glad
not
you're
sure.
here. So don't worry
glad
about
to
a
be
thing.
here.
It's good to have you here. All right, so that's the Mr. Beast, and we can come back to this when we talk about the other story, the real story. Sorry.
Well, wait, I remember hearing a podcast about the most people complaining about this newfangled technology called the radio, because it was going to be putting out, and the people that were complaining the most were the publishers of piano music. Because prior to radio, people would gather around the piano and they would listen to somebody playing off of the sheet music. And the radio, of course, replaced that. And so that we are seeing this happen again and again. And when David said, at what other time have 500 million people joined in a single thing? I did watch. Okay, I sped through the hour and 31 minutes of Mr. Beast thing that you gave us homework to do. I didn't watch the whole thing,
My plan was not for you to watch the whole video, for goodness sakes.
But at one point he says, no, the numbers are going down. No. Oh, okay. And then they came back up. So as in this hour and 31 minutes, it was a promotional gag. And I think the evaluation that Tony made, is that he has chosen a wholesome approach.
Right.
He's chosen a non-cheap, sleazy, whatever that see, that's the irony of the word adult. Speaking of an oxymoron.
Right.
So anyway,
he has. I mean,
But it's also community.
There's the punchline.
It's also community, because that's the main difference that we have. We talked about it last week, that there's no community for national regular broadcast television. But these kind of things, he's created a community. They show up just as much for him and for each other as they do for the show and the content. So the content draws you in, the like, subscribe, and algorithm keeps you there. But it's really the community that gets people going, because even when they're not talking, even our own community, they come to this show, but they're talking with each other and creating that community where people know that they can have a conversation. That's one of the things that is drawing to the internet versus standard television.
Another
The
thing
law
is
like and
that's
Brody are communicating even as we speak.
Yeah. Another thing that's interesting about him, I think, is that he does short form content, but on YouTube, his big videos, the ones that get 80 million views, 127, 156 million views, these are all long, what I would consider long form content. They're more than a half an hour long, almost all of them. And they've gotten longer, I think. 3 years ago, they were 15 minutes. 4 years ago, 17 minutes. 3 years ago, 12 minutes. This year, a month ago, 5 months ago, they're all 30, 40 minutes. And, they're getting people like Kevin Hart and I just blanked on his name. Oh, goodness gracious.
Jim Carrey?
No, forgive me for forgetting the names. But he's bringing in big names, right? His last video, I think, that he did was it was really nice. Here it is, 50 YouTube legends fight. It's not really fighting. They were playing games. But he had Marquez Brownlee. He had the founder of YouTube there. He brought in 50 of the most influential YouTubers for him. Am I frozen? Can you all
No.
guys see me moving?
No, I can see you.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm
fine.
frozen on my screen, as long as I'm not frozen for you. It's just, I don't know. Look, we don't have to stay on this. I think he's an interesting character. I think what he's done is really interesting. I'm just not. I don't know that it really matters once you hit 100 million, or 10 million or 50 million. I'm just not sure that it matters at that point. But I don't know. All right, let's jump on, because the real story of this week is the fable about Fable. It's the saga about the Claude Anthropic model Fable, which was there until it wasn't. The story is, we don't really know the story yet, but the story is that Anthropic published Mythos to a few big fancy corporations that plugged as many holes as they possibly could. In fact, I heard that Microsoft plugged like 100 and something patches in the latest security fix that they sent out. And then with the idea is that they were going to get people get ready. And then they released Fable on, I think it was a Monday maybe, and by Friday it was gone. The American government said, national security concerns, and it issued an export control directive on Friday that called for suspending all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models by any foreign national. The problem is that half, if not more, of Anthropic's employees are probably foreign nationals. So Anthropic felt that it had no choice but to pull the model. A couple of other things that I've heard about since then. One is, I think, a fair critique of Anthropic here is that not very long ago, I think it was just 2 or 3 months ago, the head of Anthropic said in an interview that the government should regulate this. You're welcome. Here they are regulating your model, doing exactly what you said. So maybe they asked for it. The other thing is that there was a letter that has been put out. It's public. You can see it actually at freefable.org. I'll pull it up for you here. Oh my goodness. Wait a second.
Started.
Look at that.
How quickly we can have a save this or support.
Wow. Okay, so I don't think that's my internet. I think there's maybe someone did something about this. So freefable.org was an open letter. Goodness, I wonder, I hope that's not me. I hope it is me. Freefable.org is an open letter by a number of tech folks saying, number one, this is not how you regulate something. Right, so please give it back to us. Number two, they said, Fable is not unique. They said we can do a lot of the stuff that we could do on Fable on on OpenAI's 5.5, on, I don't know that they mentioned Gemini, but Gemini 3.5 perhaps. And even they said some Chinese models. So on the one hand, they're arguing, give us back our Fable, please. On the other hand, they're saying, you're silly, you're being naive if you think that this is going to, save the world from AI. This is one model amongst many. I don't know. What do you all think? What's your take on Dave, go for it. What's your take on this whole fable thing?
It's a two-part take. I'll do the first part first, and then maybe I'll remember the second. I was doing work for the Defense Department, which involved a liaison with the U.S. Defense Department about these things. And I had to let two people go who were not Canadian citizens. And they just happened to be Chinese. And they're very good people. They did all our other work for us with, Arab countries and all the rest. But the U.S. military does not like to have other people knowing what their secrets are. I don't know what Fable does. You didn't give us any of the profile of it as to what features it has. But just as with Anthropic's others, there are security concerns. And if that's what they found, that the people who work at Anthropic have to be free and clear of any suspicion, then that's probably what's going on. If it isn't what's going on, then I don't know what the advantages Fable has over any of the other models, because I'm not chasing the model stream at this point. But if it has that capacity, and it was demonstrated to, say, the Defense Department or even the surveillance folks, of which you have many different departments, then maybe they don't like it because it has potential for surveilling people. So I can't say, because I'm not a user of these AIs, but I can say in the larger concept, some of these things that get developed, and you might remember Mac came out with a supercomputer, and they had to, market the idea that this has to be licensed to leave the country because it's so powerful. And other countries had restrictions on whether you could have that kind of computing power or could export it.
Yeah. So this is from time.com that Claude Fable 5 was part of this Mythos class of Opus class models. Sorry, it's the tier above the open class models. And Anthropic claimed at launch that the model's capabilities exceed those of any model we've ever made generally available, which is, of course, what everybody says about everything that they make when it's new, because it is always better than anything they've ever made. And this is really where the heart of it is, that it's particularly effective at identifying software vulnerabilities, which means then that people can use it to hack those vulnerabilities. Experts warn that the model's capabilities pose a risk of being used in cyber attacks. And of course, Anthropic said, well, we knew that, and that's why we put these boundaries on it to keep it safe, these safeguards. I don't know what Tony or Tamara. I was just about to purchase another month. I don't do Claude regularly. I was going to purchase Claude Pro for a month so that I could just have it do this stuff on a repo that I have in GitHub. I was going to ask it to do exactly this, and I just waited too long. I waited more than 4 days, and it was gone. So Tamara, you're a Claude user, right? You use it all the time.
I am a Claude user. I didn't use Fable because I didn't get a chance. I was planning on it, though. I had a big plan for it. A couple of things. I'm so confused by this whole thing. I feel like there's just something stinky on both sides. Like can't pinpoint it. I don't have any inside intel, but it just feels a little odd on both sides. Literally a week and a half ago, Anthropic said nobody should have this, and now they're saying like it just doesn't. I'm not sure why it doesn't sit right with me, but it kind of doesn't sit right with me on either side, because I do think that the other models also can be jailbroken. Like all of the things that they kind of said, this is the reason. It's like, well, I'm not really sure. The other thing is, and I have no evidence of this. So someone in the chat, or I was hoping Dave would have it, but I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago. Over the weekend, I had an event, and one of the people who was there from Toronto said, we have it. Do other people that are not in America have it? And
Yes,
that is something that,
easy.
right.
Yeah.
So that's also part of it, is like, I think that when we talk about it, we think, oh, it's gone for everyone. It in fact is not gone for everyone. It is gone for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an interesting context to it.
So here's, thank you. By the way, Lois is watching from YouTube. We miss you, Lois. Feel better. Glad you're watching on YouTube. And thank you for pointing out that the freefable.org is up now. I don't know if that was just weather or my computer, but freefable.org. And then Tony, I apologize. I'll throw it over you. But basically, this is executives, technical leaders from across the United States and its allies. And again, the piece that I found really interesting about here is that these are not uniquely good, that these Mythos class models are not uniquely good at these tasks. They're very good, but they're not uniquely good. Many of the undersigned individuals regularly use other foundation and open source models for security audits and red teaming every day. And we have to have access to these tools so that we can find and fix flaws in our newly written as well as decades of legacy code faster than our adversaries. And then, of course, the point is that, we can talk, and Anthropic, this is what they've been saying. We need to slow down. We need to, everyone take a deep breath with AI. Well, as soon as you slow down, someone else speeds up. And so we're past slowing down at this point, for better or worse. But this is what some of this letter is saying. Tony, go ahead. I stole your piece.
No, I agree with Tamara to a certain extent as far as that the smell test, I think, is an issue. However, I think I said the last time we talked about this, that there's a reason, and it may not be the reason that's been shared. There is this idea, and we talked about this before, that at some point there is going to be a barrier to being able to use AI because they are losing money on it. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that they're losing money on it. And so this might be a preamble to, if you can't pay $500 a month for the use of the AI, and I don't even know if that would cover it, then you're not going to have access. So I encourage people, if you have access to Claude, OpenAI, any AI, use it as much as you can, play with it, try to learn new things, because I don't think that it's going to be available to everybody down the line.
There was...
agreed.
There was an article, I'm searching for it now. I'm sorry, I don't have it handy. Here it is. It's from Ed Zitron. Where's your Ed at? This was shared in another channel that I'm in, and it's about what you were just saying, Tony. It's about the amount of money that AI is losing. In 2024, AI lost $5.09 billion. In 2025, it lost $38.5 billion, and it goes through all the money that I mean, they're just burning through cash. Unbelievable how much money. I don't get the sense that the government is trying to protect us from, or protect these companies from, going under. I don't think that's the case. I mean, look, the truth is that Anthropic already spent the money on Mythos. So, not releasing it now, all that does is deny them more money, because more people won't sign up to use it. Or this is the best darn marketing scheme in history. You announce something, you say it's too dangerous, you can't have it. Then you release it, but then, oh, no, too dangerous. It's too dangerous. We can't.
Well, scarcity drives interest.
Right.
Scarcity drives attention. And that Anthropic already had attention. And my business partner and I in Boise are using this tool. And a month ago, when we were doing a conference, capturing hundreds of really dynamic stories, and that we were able to inventory this, create a database of the 100+ people, and come up with 1,000 different micro stories that can be now searched and documented and found instantly with regards to a topic, that we were able to build that database in under 2 weeks. And it's on a platform, it's usable, it's searchable, it's playable from scratch. That's that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that tool, as Mark, my business partner, kept just he would wake up in the morning and what was the vampire coding was the reference, because we just kept coding because it just kept coming back with more, but it was not cheap. And he does have the $200 a month subscription, and so we really exercised this tool and came up with something that we now can make a living with.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
$200 a month doesn't pay for this service. That's the thing. This is very, very much
right.
like the .com bubble,
My
where there is no money.
My $20
coming in.
doesn't. Yeah, you're right.
Like, it's even at $200 a month, it does not cover it.
No.
So they were thinking that corporations were going to do it, and huge corporations have pulled out of it and said, absolutely not. It's actually more expensive than hiring a person. So
But they
this
didn't have
is a
choice,
problem.
But they didn't have a chance.
And it is,
But they didn't have a chance.
but
to
it
try,
is going to end
try
up being
Fable.
right. But we're talking about like all of these in general. Now, if Fable is so fast,
big
so
companies
quick,
are opting for hiring people instead of using AI.
Well,
it
what's
is
happened
too
is they've tried AI and
expensive.
it didn't work, and now
Yeah.
they realize that the same work could
Okay.
have been done
Like
cheaper.
Microsoft gave all of their people Claude and said, use it. We want you to use it. They found out that the tokens were so expensive. They were more expensive than hiring people. So
By
if
the
this
way,
is going to be something
that's-
that's going to replace people,
That's
It's
one
not
of the
gonna
things that,
replace
that
people.
Apple has to be on the lookout for, because as soon as they give all of us, as soon as they put Apple intelligence and Siri AI into all of our hands, and a billion people or however many millions of people start using it, boy, are they going to start racking up those tokens that they're going to have to pay Google for Gemini. Right. And you have to wonder if they're ready for that bill, because you're right that it's going to be a huge bill.
Well, there's going to be a
maybe
limit
that's-
on what you can do. I'm sorry, but you
Right.
can do a lot of your localized Ask Siri
There it
stuff.
is.
But as soon as Siri leaves,
Right.
and it says, which of these would you like to use? And now we're into tokens, and they have a budget for how many they can. We saw that they're paying $1 billion a month or something to Google for
Wow.
the things we were doing with the internet and creating like the original, like when we started using HTML, the original things that companies were doing were so creative. I mean, with TV Guide, you could create an avatar for yourself on the site. You could go in, and we're doing avatars now, and we're like, wow, that's so new and different. This was 1995. You were able to create an avatar for yourself.
By the way,
it was so interesting.
And did you see, speaking of that, we're really getting off topic now, but did you see, although this is sort of connected, what
This is
Zoom
kind of the topic.
just announced? Zoom just announced a partnership with what was it? Humane. Forgive me here we go. No, it's for Tools for Humanity. So what Tools for Humanity does is it has tests essentially to see when you show up in a Zoom meeting, are you real or are you an avatar?
Right.
And so, because
The same people who gave us avatars
we
in
were
Zoom.
playing with avatars, and I was in there railing about who would want to ever show up with an avatar. Well, guess what? Zoom is now partnering with a company to ensure that people can't show up as avatars. And maybe this is all going back, Tamara, to what we were talking about a little while ago when kids were booing AI at colleges. Maybe we are beginning to see even more of a backlash.
I think what we're going to see instead is we're going to see a lot of people jump on board. It's going to be super interesting. And then they're going to throttle back, and you're not going to be able to do the things that you were able to do yesterday. And I think we're seeing that with Fable, because Fable, if it is faster, bigger, better, it is using more tokens, doing less.
Oh, yeah.
So if people are using Fable to ask a question, it's using a lot of tokens to do that. So it not being accessible to us, I think Tony is dead on that this is going to become a drift of haves and have-nots, and what the average person is going to be able to do on AI before they're able to do more is way less.
Yeah.
What's the story with Sora? Why did Sora disappear? It wasn't because it wasn't good.
Good question.
It
Yep.
was because it cost too much money.
Right.
And it was stupid. But
And the people who were
Well,
using it were not corporations. It was regular people who were using it.
That's the thing too.
Right?
That is more. I think that is more of the issue than anything else. Can you imagine if this software that was going to be available that corporations are using that can fill all these spots, all these viruses, all these open senior moment
vulnerabilities.
vulnerabilities, and a regular person spends $20 and has access to an AI that powerful. That's a little bit scary in a way. And so the powers that be may be concerned.
So that's actually a really interesting approach and take on this, Tony, is that I wonder if some powerful people in the government looked at this and said, wow, this is giving regular folks a lot of power. That's threatening to us. That's threatening to those of us who are in power. That's a really interesting approach to this. I told you this was like the main story. There's so much more to talk about this, but I want to shift us. I want to shift us into our main story, and the main story is who owns your eyes and ears. So we have all come to this space through office hours, and office hours is fundamentally a gathering of folks who facilitate the telling of stories, getting people's attention, keeping people's attention, buying and selling people's attention. We are a group of people focused on attention getting and doing and being. And that the process that we have to go through we may still use cameras and microphones, but the way those are used and the context in which those are used has and continues to shift, I think, drastically. And we started talking about this last week, this shift from, everyone shows up at work the next morning and we're all talking about the ER episode or whatever, to now we all sort of have our own channels. So we wanted to kind of continue the conversation a little bit and talk about, okay, so if it isn't the moon landing, if it isn't MASH, if it isn't whatever, the West Wing that is getting our attention, what is it? What are the ingredients to that? What is the answer to the attention economy?
You opened it up with Mr. Beast, and Tamara hit it. Mike's consensus is on the nose. Community. That was Alex's point from day one. He was wanting to communicate how we can be better humans through and let technology, connect us. And so again, it wasn't bad Zoom, it was bad video and bad audio that he was the champion against.
So I think that's a little simplistic, and I'll give you an answer from today. So I posted a question in Lovable, on Facebook today about a thing I was doing in Lovable, and the people that I read their full answer and followed up and gave us a like to and to their comments were the people who gave me helpful information. There were people who jumped on and said, well, why would you want to do that? Well, I'm not giving you my time. I'm not giving you my attention. If you give me a thoughtful answer, if you give me something that's helpful to me.
And you have gathered around and with people of like mind or of like attention, and that's what I'm calling community. So is it simplistic,
that, but
or obscenely complicated?
For me, the core ingredient there is not community. I don't know this person. I'm never going to meet this person. I'm not going to chat with this person offline. Never. I'm just not going to. For me, the core ingredient was that what captured my eyes and ears was something that was beneficial. That it helped me. It served my needs.
But I think what you're talking about too is what we call the algorithm, right? When Google first came out, you would search something and we would all get the same results. And then they realized that actually it is more helpful if we use the computer to say, Tamara's asking this question, and we know this about Tamara, so we're going to give Tamara these answers. And Sky asks the exact same question at the exact same time, and Sky gets different answers based on who Sky knows, who he interacts with, things that he's done, all of those things. So that's one part of how the world kind of shifted, giving us exactly what we wanted. The other is really Facebook, I think around 2011. If you recall, in the early days of Facebook, everything came into your feed sequentially, the order of which it happened. So you could literally scroll back and go, oh, this was yesterday and this is today. Around 2011, they shifted that. I know I missed that. They shifted that to be what we think that you want to see when you want to see it. They have decided for us who you're going to see, what you want to see. And I think that the combination of those kinds of things where we realize that we can target people really made it. And the truth is, we do love that. You and I love that, David. Like, we talk about this. I don't see any advertisements for things that I do not need or that I would not want. Right. So there's a certain amount of that that's great. There's a certain amount of that was profitable, which is, of course, why they would do something like that. But we are now in kind of this place in our life where I only want to be helped. I'm only interested. People answer your response. You're like, I'm responding to the ones who are helpful to me. So you're reinforcing a behavior that big corporations have noticed long before you did.
But that's
if they reinforce that behavior,
reward the people who are beneficial to you. That's, by the way, that's why they built AI to be nice. Because we spend money, and this goes back to the last conversation. What's getting a lot of our attention today is going to our bots, to our AI bots.
Right.
Why? Because number one, they're helpful. They're beneficial. Two, they're nice about it. I mean, what's not to love?
Right.
They give me exactly what I need in the shortest amount of time, and they're really pleasant about it.
Just last week, I got a compliment for being helpful and explaining something in rather simplistic terms, but rather, cogently, for a platform that I'm on. And this reply came, 3 or 4 paragraphs about how helpful that was and how good you wrote and how is it you know how to do that and all the rest of that stuff. And I responded with it, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much. It made my day. Hey, that's great. Oh yeah, can we take this conversation to WhatsApp? And I go, oh, okay, I'm being solicited. But I also learned later when I engaged it further that it's a bot. So the bot thought I was brilliant and was very helpful. But what did they want me for? Well, we know what's going on.
Has storytelling changed as we've shifted from the information economy to the attention economy?
I think we've lost story.
A story has to be told.
Storytelling, but I don't think we have story. Yeah.
Wait, say that again, Dave.
No.
I missed that.
Well, when reality TV came out, they made reality into a story, and it's not a story. And we have the tradition of story.
Of course. Wait, what do you mean by that?
Story. But
of course it's a story.
Because
I think it's a story. It's not real.
Right.
It's not reality.
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's not reality.
It's a
TV,
story.
Right. So they made it into a story so that we would all watch it, but it's not really a story. It's just a bunch of people put in a situation to see how they respond. And we can do that with anybody, but it's not going to last as long as Greek myths do, because the story is not helping us. The story is not giving us what we need to survive. Yeah.
Ice Road Truckers takes the exact same story arc but it has to do it in every 8-minute segments because they're on a commercial channel that has to keep you and hook you so that you'll come back after the 3 minutes of commercials. And why are there commercials? Because it's the entertainment business. The business of entertainment is there to be and make money. They're using this vehicle to do just that. So consequently, they're going to, find the addictive things, the emotional things. But has story changed since the beginning of time? No. Have the delivery devices changed? Have the styles and methodologies? Yes, because technology is different than when we were sitting around the fire.
On Tuesday night, we were talking about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just going to say that I think what we saw on Office Hours on Tuesday night is a good example of the whole idea of story. And it was about the tool. It was about the iPhone as a filmmaking device or a video producing device, and it was all about how you can use the. We had some really good people on there on that conversation. I was really intrigued by the fact that one of the speakers really leaned in on not having to add the extra stuff to the iPhone, because in all the Apple events they have the iPhone and then it has tons and tons of additional things to it. But this particular, I can't remember his name right now, the particular guest was leaning into the whole idea of just taking that regular iPhone and just telling a story.
Yeah, that
And
was Stuart
that
Marshall.
I think the story is still available to us. It's just the tools have shifted. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I,
New
I
tools,
think
same
that I think that
craft.
Right.
that's a reality, for us. And even that is not new, because if you think about
Right.
technologies in the past, the first motion pictures were a different way of telling the story. The first book, that regular people had access to is a way of the best way that we've known from time uh, um, ongoing. A book in a story in a book. I mean,
I guess what I'm
what
asking
can
though,
I
Tony,
say?
is yes, I agree with you. The job is still telling the story, and the tools have changed 100%. I do think though that it's more than the tools. I think it's also the practice and the work of storytelling itself, because we have to be responsive to what people are looking for, to what's going to grab their attention. I'll give you just a personal example. Is I know a lot of people love audio podcasts. I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual guy. Even when I'm driving home, I'm listening to YouTube, but I have the video up. I'm not looking at it. But I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to consume information via audio only. So if you want my attention, audio podcasts you'll never get me. You'll never get me to listen to an audio only podcast. And so I'm not asking for the whole media landscape to change for me, but I'm suggesting that we have to be responsive to the way that people give out and dole out their attention. And that has, I think fundamentally shifted and is fundamentally shifting in this day and age. And one last thing, let's just go back to Alex and the shift from everyone, climbing in and getting into one Apple Park for these, for the big releases and WWDC and all that stuff, to now there's nothing live. There's, one guy comes out, right. Tim comes out, says hi, and then they play a movie for everyone. That's just a completely different type of attention capturing.
There's no applause. There's no reaction.
Right. Than what we're doing. And boy, you were talking about Sky Community. I can't think of a less communal experience than what we currently have.
Watching the corporate video,
that was the same. That's what happened when they took the 3.5-inch floppy away. It's like, what? No. The modifications of technology to its users got over it because somebody figured out that we are going to move forward regardless of what our people are used to. We have to move forward. It is our responsibility, just like an actor's responsibility is to know their lines, not fall off the stage, lie to the audience that we are going on a journey together. Now, you could call it lying or you could call it being a good actor, but that's the actor's job, is to take you on a journey. So that we are monetizing this, that the iPhone is now ubiquitous, or some mobile phone devices ubiquitous with humanity. What child doesn't have one? That teachers are now saying, put it away so we can actually learn something. And so consequently, what was never given The technology was given, but the ability to tell a story wasn't. Now that's confusing because people often say, well, I've got a story. You absolutely do. Doesn't mean you know how to tell it.
So
The fundamentals of storytelling are not different.
There's
are
my
the same.
punchline.
Okay, but wait,
Here
Tamara,
is the
Tamara,
difference.
let me ask you a pointed question about that exactly. So the fundamentals of storytelling haven't changed. How then does storytelling shift to digital platforms that have infinite scroll, autoplay, what you were
Monetization.
talking about before, personalized recommendations, all that stuff, which is, again, completely different than going to a theater, watching on TV, seeing Steve Jobs up on a stage.
Well, here's the thing. We've storytelling has not changed. The rules of storytelling, what hooks people, what gets people, what grabs people, that is not different. The difference is that, one, it is obsequious now, right? So Steve Jobs changed how all hands meetings go, right? Used to be just a really dry, open, here's the deal, here's our numbers, here's what we're doing, here's what we're thinking about doing. Very cut and dry. There was, even anytime something was new, it was like, hey, here's our new product. He came in and made it into a show. And now there's no keynote. And there are many, many keynote people who do not have storytelling ability or acting ability who are still trying to tell a story. Every single brand, every commercial that you see, everything is trying to tell a story. So story has not functionally changed. I think you're correct, though. How we interact with story is so different because it used to be kind of an appointment. I went to the library, I got a book, I read the book, I sat down in front of my TV, I got my story from there. You can go all the way back to listening to the radio. You can go back to listening to fairy tales, which were done by, in a community where people came and saw someone performing like oral literature and oral stories. The difference is that now it is everywhere. So we can't really identify it. And with so many things grasping for your attention, I think that, the truth is things are getting our attention that we really don't care about. There's stories there. I'm engaged in someone's trip to Target, but do I really care about their trip to Target? No, I don't even know this person. But the reason I'm engaged with it is that the storytelling things are there. They've got a hook. Okay, I'm hooked. They've got a cliffhanger. I'm going to the next video. So all of the same things that got you into this, a hero's journey to Target, and here I am sucked into it. So story is still working. The difference is anybody can tell a story, and we all have distribution capabilities that we did not have in the past.
Well, anybody can
wonder
make,
though, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anybody can make a thing, whether it's a story is debatable, but
that's what I was going to speak to. I think there is a difference between sharing something on social media versus someone being intentional. And I think one of the unique things of this time period is that we all have the capacity to tell a story. But I think that there is a distinction from us being intentional about telling a story versus us sharing something that may not be really important to the mass of people, but it's just sharing something on social media. They're not really trying to tell a story.
Well,
but anyone has the capacity to tell a story. That is what is different. You had to have tools to be able to tell a story really well. And now everybody has the tools. It's just a question of the level of expertise that they are able to tell the story that makes the difference, I think.
Well, and stories take an audience, and they take a storyteller and they take an audience, right? And so even though people are unintentional, we can talk about highbrow and lowbrow story, the intentional or non-intentional story, but it's still story. And if it has an audience, it's still gaining something. But I think, speaking to what David has been kind of getting us to, is, have we changed as the receivers of story versus does story not exist or exist? Does high quality story exist? It still exists, but you have to go find it. Is there story? There's story all around you. Commercials, anything, all of those anything that's causing you to subscribe, it's because they're telling some kind of story. Even in a podcast, they have framed a story that you're going to interact with. So the question is, how have we changed to where we're seeking out certain kinds of stories or any kind of story, because I don't want to engage, maybe I don't want to engage in deep thinking. So great, TikTok's fantastic for that. I get a bunch of stories. They're not necessarily great, but they have an audience and they've got me. Why do they have me? What has fundamentally changed in me, the viewer, that is willing to interact with any kind of story that comes my way, as opposed to certain stories?
Here's
Well, if I were to respond
Please.
to Tamara, I would say that in the case of TikTok, because we are bombarded with so much stuff, that is a distraction for you. That is a way of freeing you from all the junk that's out there too. So we need to escape some of the stuff that hits us every day, because really, if you really think about some of the things that are the headlines right now, it's depressing.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
And so we escape sometime by not necessarily a good story. It's somebody says something or does something that's peculiar or strange or different, then I don't have to think about all the other stuff that's out there that's really sort of weighing
my
on me.
attention spans fundamentally changed, because even with
There it
TikTok,
is.
when TikTok went from being 2 minutes to 10 minutes, I find I won't even stay for a full 10 minutes. You have to really get me to stay for a full 10 minutes. I'm like, scroll, scroll, scroll. So my fundamental ability, now I can sit through lots of story, but my fundamental ability to even want to engage has drastically shifted in even the last year.
That's some of what I was trying to get to. Dave, go ahead. And then
When
Scott.
I first started in broadcast, one of my jobs was to make interstitials. They're the thing that comes in at the end of a program's credits to fill the time toward the top of the hour. They're sometimes just 2 minutes, they're sometimes 5. I made one that was 10 minutes long. And occasionally the show would run that far short that people would get to see a lot of that 10-minute piece. The playback operator would backtime it, so he'd start it at the 10-minute mark and know that it's going to stop at the top of the hour, and then he could go to have a coffee break or whatever. But I made an interstitial that made the phone light up, and we got more complaints about it than anything else I'd ever done. I'd done years of this stuff, and I made this one thing especially to test something, and that was attention. The shot is, well, when I shot it was 20, but I cut it down to one 10-minute segment out of the 20, set it to some light jazz, and just titled it August 11th, 1976. And it is people leaving a building. If you've ever stood in front of a building waiting for someone, you see 10,000 people come out of a building all at 4:30. It's quite something to see. I parked the camera, folded my hands, and stood there, recorded the whole thing, put it on, edited it, made it nice, and we would use this. And they reported every morning after the thing got played that Dave's interstitial was driving people crazy because nothing happens. There's no story. Nothing's happening. A lot is happening on the screen, and people were caught by it, and they were furious. They were mad that they couldn't turn away from this thing because they were waiting for something to actually happen, and it doesn't. I was trying to test a McLuhan thing where
wait.
you can have media without content,
they
or
were
you can have media with content.
They were watching because they were expecting something to happen, and they couldn't leave
Yes.
because if they left, they would miss. That's fantastic.
They would miss what happens, yes.
That's
and it
great
fades out
marketing.
at the end, and nothing has happened. And they've wasted that whole 10 minutes watching my video, and they get real peeved about it. And this is an experiment where I learned figuring ground from McLuhan, where there's the medium and then there's the content. And it's really the medium that's changing you, not the content. We've been talking all this time about the content, but what Tamara has brought this forward perfectly, because we can now click away, and that changed everything.
Yep.
I could click away from a web page. I'm bored by the 3 paragraphs. This person's not making sense. And I go away. I'm not captivated by anything. And we have TikTok. We know it's going to end in a short period of time. So I'll watch a guy play with his baby or something. And all of that stuff is easy now because we can click away. And it started with iPods where you didn't have to listen to the whole song. You just push a button and you're on the next song.
So maybe
And
stories haven't changed, but I still do think that it's more than
the
just
consumption of them is
tools.
different.
And so let me throw out one other possibility, and then Sky is all yours. Tamara, you sort of got to this when you suggested that maybe we're the ones who've changed, right? It's the consumers of content. So one of the things that I found fascinating in the research for this is the difference between engagement and connection. And I've been thinking a lot about this because, as a rabbi of a synagogue, I'm like, my whole goal is to get people engaged. Like, that's what I get paid for, is to get people engaged, to engage with the synagogue, to engage with what we're doing, to engage in prayer or social action or whatever the heck we're education. Engage. Maybe that's the wrong goal. Maybe the goal should be connection. And so I'm thinking about here's the premise. The premise is, or the suggestion is that what stories used to do was allow us to connect around the water cooler, around shared experiences, shared viewing, shared discourse. Now, stories don't do that, not because the stories have changed, but perhaps because we've changed. But what they have increased is engagement, because now we're liking the story, or we're sharing the story, or we're commenting on the story, or we're remixing the story and making it our own. So now we're engaging with the content, but we're not necessarily connecting with others about the content. Sky, does that resonate at all?
The two things that flutter to my mind is, in listening to Dave Troutman, I've been to the sushi bar that has the almost spy cam up in the top of a building looking down on a very busy street. And it's just video wallpaper of someplace in Asia. And I've also I took my mother-in-law to get her pedicure done. And that's what they have up on the TV. It's just this long drone shots of these different parts of the universe, different part of the world. So it's a video wallpaper that creates an atmosphere that is running on some channel somewhere. Is that content? Yes. Is it story? Not necessarily, but it is pretty pictures. And so that's where my frustration is. Just because you have an iPhone, it does not make you a storyteller. It makes you a person that owns an iPhone with a really good camera. Now, I was
being a human makes you a storyteller.
Don't disagree, but the question then becomes: is it a commercially viable product, or is it something that your mother's going to love? I mean, I could call myself an artist and hang myself on the fridge wall. My mom will love it. Well, she would have when she was alive. But again, is it a commercially viable product? Then becomes the question. And that we kind of went through the Mr. Beast. It's not Paskin's cup of tea, but apparently 500 million people around the world seem to think they want to connect in that something. Where I wanted to go, though, is I did a social experiment. There were 1,000 people at this conference a month ago. I went up and asked very strategic and very specific questions about, may I have a conversation with you about one person in your practice that you have seen this product really affect? So I narrowed it down. And to a person, they all had a less than 1.5 minute example that they were desperate to share, and had an immediate construct of a hero, a conflict, and a resolution in a location. So it had the basic story elements, and that's where I got over 100 amazing moments out of, about 90 people. So yes, I think people have changed and understand how to tell story now, and are recognizing that in the moment, I need to have a story ready.
Okay.
I would just push back on one thing. I have to push back, because you're doing the thing that really worries me about AI, and that really worries me about where we're going as a community. When we start valuing art based on return on investment. And when we start saying people are only worthy based on the schools are only worthy experiences if you can make
Well,
a
I'm not
certain
saying
amount of
worthy.
money. No, I know, but what you're but
I'm
saying
saying commoditization, which is horrible.
saying this is art versus this is not art, right? If someone is if an artistic exchange is something where someone is telling a story and someone's reacting, I may scroll through 8 million TikToks and
I've
I
seen
never
a Jackson
respond,
Pollock in person. I
right?
don't get it.
Right, but you not getting it doesn't make it not art, right?
Don't
So I
disagree.
think that, but I
Absolutely.
think one of the things that really kind of just thinking about where we used to engage in stories differently, and now we're all kind of saying, well, where I'm saying, I will just speak for myself, that I'm scrolling, I'm not engaging. And then when I'm curious, I am engaging. I'm not commenting, but I'm reading comments, right? So I'm looking at that community, even if I'm not a part of that community.
But that is
but
no.
now
but
with
that,
AI,
that is
you
engaging.
have,
Tamara. That is
but-
engaging. It's not connecting.
but it's not connecting.
Right.
But I'm engaging in it. I'm not connecting. Now, here's the thing. When I go to look up anything now, it gives me, even a regular article has a summary at the top that is not even AI, that is intentional by the writer of the article, knowing that I won't make it to the end. So they want to make sure that I know. So we are shortening our attention span so that we don't have to engage or connect, because all I have to do is skim.
Which again is not art.
Becoming
it's not interpretive, because isn't art to inspire, encourage, empower? So why do you have to document something and this is what you're supposed to get out of this? That's not art.
But I don't think art, the definition
education.
of art is to inspire. And I don't think that that is what defines something as art versus not as art.
All right, hold on a sec. I'm going to Dave. I see you there. Hold on.
Take it, Dave.
Dave's getting the last
Jump
word.
in.
Save me, Dave.
Dave's getting the last word. Tony, do you want to jump in real quick, and then I'm giving it to Dave, or you want to pass? You're good. Dave, take us home, my friend.
Well, I don't want to get you guys on engagement, so I'm going to stop that one. But what I am noticing myself is that we're all watching other people putting stuff together on YouTube and on the other channels and in Instagram and the rest, and reacting to things. Everyone's got an opinion on something, or they have a take on it, or they're going to review it, or they're going to tell you about it, or they're going to encourage you to try this or buy that. Or I'm not getting new ideas. I'm not getting someone who has a new idea and is telling me something that I think everybody should hear about. And when I hear a good idea, I want to tell somebody else about it. My wife comes up with great ideas and I want to tell other people about them. But of course, this is lighting a lamp that should get larger. But our media stops us because everyone's decided they have a camera, they got a microphone, they can walk around with their DJI and talk to you. What is it? Oh, it's entertainment, it's attraction, it's getting eyeballs, but it's a review or a reaction video of music or something. And I'm not getting art, I'm not getting story, I'm not getting much of anything, except it's taking up my time. And I think in a sense, when we want engagement Dave,
is
not
your time and your attention.
At you.
It's taking up your time and your attention.
Your time and your attention, yes, but as is concurrent, because it takes time to be attending. But in terms of engagement, this is a fight I have with politicians all the time, is they want engagement, but they don't want to listen. And it's the congregation, Dave, that you're trying to engage with has to talk to you before it's engagement. It's not what you say to them. It's what they say to you that starts the engagement. I don't care what sermon you give, what kind of story you tell, or what kind of enthusiasm you're hearing from your crowd. If they're not coming back afterwards to talk to you about it, they're not engaged. And this is not possible in media. I've got Mr. Beast giving me a 20-minute entertainment, and then I can't do much more than go to the comment thing and put a few words down. But I'm not engaging him. I'm just reacting to him or giving him my opinion. So there's the difference the technology has done for us. It's given us all the opportunity to have an opinion or present a review, but it's not really inspiring people to put ideas out there. And that's what I'd like to see.
Tamara, what you just wrote, building off of what Dave was talking about, boy, that just struck a chord with me. Tamara just wrote, doesn't this speak to a bigger issue that people want to be heard.
Amen.
So I was approaching this whole conversation, I think we all were, with our producer hats or our TD hats or whatever on, as we are the sender outers of the story, of the information. But Tamara, what in that one little comment, what you did is you flipped it and you said, let's look at it from strip everything away. This is about one person who just wants to be heard in the world. And how can that one person be heard when there's all this noise? When there's and of course, then that same question scales up to, how can a small company, how can a small donut shop be heard over the Dunkin' Donuts of the world? How can, or over the Starbucks of the world? How can a small software company be heard over the Microsofts and the Apples of the world? So that question scales up. But when you really take everything away, it's, hey guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not new. The new part is that we have the ability to be heard. People have wanted to be heard throughout history, and people have been marginalized and not heard. And I think that what we're seeing now is the ability for people to make their voice known.
And I'm going to I'm going to interpret that people want to be loved since the beginning of time. And love is being heard, which feels like I'm being, and then the word connected comes in. And to the question of, what is story? Robert McKee's point was, if your story is about what your story is about, you're screwed. And so that's where I guess, Tamara, that everybody has a story. Absolutely believe that. But you've also seen people that have the ability to communicate that in such a way that the audience does feel heard and is connected and engaged. And we have had a communal experience. And that's the difference between walking up to the Banksy experience and reading the comments on the side before experiencing it for what it was in its own construct.
By the way,
I did not mean to hijack. We're late. Sorry.
Sorry.
I wish
Go
we
for
had
Paskin.
more time.
Yeah, but by the way, John Wallace, I just reached out to John Wallace in Discourse. I want to have him back on the show to talk a little bit more about this from his perspective. He's wrote about engagement with content. He said, you're not engaging. This is sort of a meta comment, not Facebook meta. You are not engaging with that content that exists. The algorithm is giving you what you engage and spend your time on. It's you were
says it's what this show is all about
before you ever engaged with it, because the algorithm pushed it toward you. Yeah. These are really,
people come here that we're not being picked up by an algorithm and shown to 1 million people. That's not what's happening here. Yeah.
We don't need no stinking algorithm.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
Let's put that on the title, okay?
Right. That's the
we have a show title.
Title of show.
We don't need no blinking.
We don't need no stinking algorithm.
Right.
All we need are good people who are listening and joining in the conversation. And I'm so glad that all of you are here today. Oh my gosh, my daughter is back again. She almost forgot, but she made it in.
She said she almost forgot.
She almost forgot. Everyone who's watching on Discord, in Mukana, on YouTube, wherever you are, grateful to have you here. Always grateful to have you here. Tomorrow morning, another show of questions for all of you storytellers out there. Tomorrow afternoon, if you're so inclined to come to the Zoom Test Kitchen, Zoom 7.1 is due for release in just 4 days. And it's a pretty significant, nice little update. And we just got the release notes. So we will be taking a look at that tomorrow in the kitchen. Yeah. That's what I got. Bye, everyone.
It's enough.
That's enough. What I got is enough.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time on The Rundown.
Bye-bye.
Bye.